Companies are starting to use budgets as more of a function of their business in managing outside counsel. Can you tell us from the perspective of an in-house counsel how a budget could be used effectively?
Yeah, there's several ways, and that's absolutely right. As businesses see litigation as more of a recurring cost, they're trying to budget for it so that they could put away the right amount of money and not come up short at the end of the year. And certainly, even a high-level, simple budget can be effective for that purpose, in the sense of if they know the litigation won't cost more than $1 million, they put aside $1 million, they don't run out of money at the end of the year.
All right. I've seen typical budgets that say for the first 6 months, we're $500,000, and for the 6 months after that, $1 million a month.
Right.
How can a budget be used in a way where somebody can look at it and really know where that money is being spent?
Yeah, well, basically budgets have to be much more detailed.
Yeah.
It may be the trial will cost, the whole thing will cost $1 million, but that tells you nothing ahead of time about what the client. It doesn't give the client and outside counsel any opportunity to compare their expectations about the scope of the case.
Right.
Right. A more detailed budget, one that will look at, what kind of motions that do we expect to be made, how many witnesses do we expect at trial, how many depositions will be taken. If you have that kind of detail in your budget, now the client can look at it and say, I thought, for instance, I thought this would be a small case, and outside counsel is planning for 25 depositions. Mm-hmm. Something's wrong. Mm-hmm. Right? Now the client can talk to the outside counsel and say, wait a second, why are you doing this? And now they can, before those costs are incurred, they can begin to avoid them.
So you're saying it can be used as a tool to discuss the expectations of each side. Absolutely. And where they think that this litigation is proceeding.
Sure, and it works both ways. Mm-hmm. I mean, it happens that sometimes outside counsel doesn't realize how important or how complex the case will be, and they still need to have that conversation. And maybe the client has to say, something, I want to make sure you're going to have the resources to execute this case properly. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of budget that can work as a management tool rather than just a financial tool. And this as a financial tool, because litigations are so unpredictable that budgets will never work well.
Right.
But as a management tool, it can.
So are there any other instances going forward in the litigation where a budget will come back into the picture and be used as a tool at those points?
Yeah, sort of parallel to that initial consultation may very well be the question of, should we bring the suit at all?
Yeah.
And you can look at a suit and you can say, well, I expect to win because I'm right, and I expect to say get $1 million. And you can say, well, I expect to win and get $1 million, I'll bring the suit. But there's a whole other question, what will it cost you?
Right. And
that's where the budget comes in. And if you can look at the budget, a realistic budget, now you know what that will cost. Mm-hmm. So the award might be $1 million, but if the cost is $1.5 million, you don't want to bring that suit. And if it's $750,000, maybe it's not as important.
Worth bringing.
Right. On the other hand, you could look at a case and think, I would like to bring the suit. I think the odds are against us. But look, on the budget, this won't cost us a whole lot. Maybe this is worth bringing. Mm-hmm. So that's where one place the budget can come in. The other would be later on throughout the course of litigation for settlement. Now, I would say if you're talking about settlement, I'm not talking about waiting for a settlement offer, but I'm talking about a more systematic approach, which clients should do and outside counsel should do. At various stages of the litigation, they should routinely say, wait a second, should we settle this case? Is there a number at which we can settle this case? And of course, part of that equation is
how much has been spent already.
No, how much is left to be spent.
Okay.
And that's why if you have a good budget and you do it on a spreadsheet, you take out all the expenses because there's nothing you can do about those. Mm-hmm. But if take the $1 million case, right?
Right.
If you now, let's say, if you can look at it, maybe the case has changed, right? And now you think, something, this case we thought would be $500,000, the rest of this case could cost us $1 million by itself. Now maybe settlement is more appealing. Mm-hmm. But again, the what you expect to get in the case, the chances of winning, and then the costs are three important factors at every settlement discussion.
Yep.
The costs come from the budget.
And is there do you suggest that there's a template that is used in forming the budget?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of costs that are usually overlooked.
Right. One of the things to help to make the preparation of the budget manageable is to appreciate that there's a lot of factors that show up multiple times in the course of the budget. So, for instance, if your core team is 4 people, and then as you account for time for meetings, reviewing documents, and reviewing motions, part of that cost is going to be that 4 people will make a difference. You know, if it's 3 people, it's going to be less cost. If it's 5, it's going to be greater cost. Okay, and so, rather than figure out each project and saying, okay, put in the number of people, by use of a spreadsheet, you could put in the number of people just once, and then have the spreadsheet populate those fields later on. Yeah, you could set up a basic template for a budget that accounts for all the various aspects of a litigation and basically reuse it. And the nice part about that is, over time, that benefits from sort of institutional knowledge. And with each successive budget, you will remember to consider all those other factors that you might overlook.
So the bottom line is we all have to prepare budgets. We should take the time, prepare an accurate budget, and take the opportunity to sit down with the client and talk about expectations, costs, staffing, and where we all see the case proceeding. And it can really be used as an effective management tool in that manner.